safari? Okay, well I'm gonna try to make it the best one possible for you. We're gonna be starting our journey today off in the Little Eternity Forest. There's gonna be a lot of trees and greenery out here, so some of the animals like to camouflage. So make sure you look really, really close to see what you can find. A darker brown colored animal on the right hand side with zebra-like stripes is going to be the okapi. Now the okapi with those stripes, people tend to think they're a relative of the zebra, but they're actually the closest known relative to the giraffe. That's because they have an incredibly long face and tongue. Their tongue can be up to 16 inches long and they can lick their own eyeball with it.
Let's just leave them live boogers out.
Now on the right hand side, there's going to be an incredibly large nest. It's going to be home to the saddle-billed stork, and you'll see them to the side of it, it looks like, with those really bright colors. And then on the left, if you peek way far back there, you might be able to see a black rhino hanging out way back there. Now the saddle-billed stork, if you look at that yellow part on their bill, that's gonna look like a saddle you would ride a horse with. That's where they get their name from. So you're gonna see another black rhino on that left-hand side as well. Now on the right, it's going to be a burnt orange colored animal with really long horns. It's the bongos. The bongos get their name from the fact that they are the ghost of the forest. That's because those horns go towards their back, so when they're trying to go through the forest, they're able to skate through really quietly without hitting any leaves and trees, almost as silent like a ghost. Now the lighter tan colored animal on the left hand side, that's the greater kudu. You might notice that they do not have any horns, and that's going to signify that they are female. They're only female greater kudu out here on the reserve. Now we're going to be entering a different area. We're going to be entering the Safi River. Safi River is going to be home to a lot of different aquatic animals, so make sure you keep your eye on that water. There's going to be water on both the right and left hand side. Now an animal that you're going to see on the right hand side is going to be a little bit confusing. It's going to be that lighter gray feathered animal. Those are the pink-backed pelicans. Yeah, I know. They're not very pink, are they?
No.
Well, this is not currently their mating season. Once they hit that mating season, though, their back feathers as well as their bill will turn incredibly pink. Now, if you look on the right, you might see that shadow of a dark-colored item in the water. That's going to be a hippopotamus fully submerged underwater. And there's going to be one about halfway submerged underwater on the left-hand side. Now, they tend to stay fully submerged underwater for minutes at a time. Fun fact about them is that they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes. I've tried it. We can't do it, so I would not suggest trying it. A really fun fact is that when they are fully submerged underwater, they're going to walk on that floor below them of the river, which is ironic because their name is actually river horse in Latin. Because they walk on the floor below them just like how a horse would walk through water. Now, trivia question of the day, what is a group of hippos called? They're called a bloat. I like to say it's because they're big and they float, but it's not scientifically proven. On the left, their next door neighbor, those are going to be the Nile crocodile. From the tip of their tail to the tip of their mouth, they can be up to 16 feet long. You want to stay over here? No. When I mention that, I get a lot of no's, but I also get some no thank yous. So I always like to mention how incredibly nurturing they are as well. And that baby crocodile is getting ready to enter the world. That mama or dad crocodile is going to pop that egg inside their mouth and roll it around against their teeth. That allows the egg to start to softly crack so that baby doesn't have to try too terribly hard to enter the world. Now, if you look above your head at that animal spotting, guys, it's going to have every single possible animal you could see today at the top of that canopy. Additionally, something it doesn't have is this tree on the right-hand side. That's the baobab tree. You might notice that it has no leaves and it has a large trunk. Now the fact that it has no leaves is a-okay. It's not going to have leaves for about 9 months out of the year, but it's going to continue to grow for an incredibly long time. Now throughout the savannah, you're going to see a lot of this one animal that we're going to see on the right-hand side, which are the Ankole cattle. It's that incredibly long horned animals on the right-hand side with that brown color. The Ankole cattle are the only domesticated animal out here on the reserve. They were domesticated by the Watusi tribe. Now they weren't domesticated for agriculture or farming or anything like that, but they were actually domesticated to be a sign of beauty and wealth for the tribe. So they kind of just have to sit there and look pretty, which they do really well. Now those horns from one tip to the other, they can be up to 6 to 7 feet wide. Now they're a little crazy looking, but they have blood vessels that run through those horns that almost have a honeycomb structure that allow them to pump blood through those horns into their body to cool themselves down. I will say it does look like we are holding for an animal up in the road a little bit farther ahead today. Seems to be a Maasai giraffe. Let me tell you, they tend to be the maps of the safari because they will tell you where they want you to go and where they don't. Now, something that you might see quite a lot of throughout the savannah that I'm going to point out here in just a moment are going to be the right and left hand side. They're going to almost look like wet sand stacked on top of each other. Those are going to be termite mounds. Those termite mounds are something that a lot of animals out here, especially those Ankole cattle, are going to use if they have an itch to scratch on their horns or on their backs. You'll see them right now on the right hand side, and then up ahead on the left, that really tall one. Now you might notice quite the difference as we are in the savannah compared to that Safi River, because the trees are a little more dry out here. There's a lot more dirt and sand than there is grass. That's because, like I said, it gets really, really, really hot out here. So it's a little bit harder for things to grow. Now just up ahead, it looks like a couple of our friends have found some wildebeest. It's going to be that lighter gray colored animal with black stripes. They're going to be on that right side here in just a few moments. Now you usually see them in a large group like they are right now because they're one of the largest migrating groups in the world. Now when you don't see them in a large group, that's when people tend to get confused because you're like, what? I thought they're always in a large group. And it's okay to be confused because a group of them is called a confusion. It's in their name. And then they're going to be on that right hand side. They have that really bushy black tail and more of a curly Q like horn structure. Now you're going to see a great group of them on the right hand side, but there's also going to be a couple more of those lone wolves up here in just a moment. Now if you're able to catch them, I don't know if you'll be able to see them super well. They're going to be way up high within those bushes straight ahead on that right hand side. It's a lighter tan colored animal with white legs. It's going to be the springbok. They're incredibly petite. They are very, very, very small. They're going to get their name from the fact that they spring up into the air about 6 feet high and 13 feet out. But a really cool animal that we're going to see here in just a moment on the left-hand side are going to be some of the Maasai giraffe. But before we get to them, you're going to see a couple more wildebeest. And then additionally on the right and left-hand side, there's going to be a lighter tan-colored animal with twisted horns. You'll see them right now on that right-hand side. That's an eland. If you look at their neck, you'll notice a sack that's hanging from their neck, almost like a beard. It's called a dewlap. That's something that's going to allow them to control that interior body temperature of theirs. You'll see another great one on that left-hand side as well. And then these are the Maasai giraffe. And the Maasai giraffes are really cool because they're the only giraffes with those jagged puzzle piece-like spots on their backs. Additionally, that really long neck of theirs can be incredibly intimidating to look at, but it actually has just as many bones as we do in our neck, which is only 7 bones. But their tongue can be up to 18 inches long. Now, a group of them is called a tower. Get it? Because they're tall. So, I like to say, when that mama gives birth, she's actually going to give birth from exactly where she is standing, which is about 6 feet in the air. So when she drops that baby, it's like the Tower of Terror. That's all I have today, actually. No, but I will say, don't worry, that baby will be totally fine when they are born. They are fully ready to stand and walk the second they are born. They're incredibly independent. They're going to see a couple more baby dog cheese on the right and left. Those are going to supply the water for some elephant waters we're going to drive through here in just a moment. You'll see one of those elephants. It's the African elephant on the left-hand side. You'll see them using their trunk to pick up a lot of hay so they can eat it. That trunk is incredibly important. It has over 100,000 muscles inside of it. That trunk is going to be used for eating, as you can see, but it's also going to be used for a lot of other things. You'll also see them fanning those ears onto their back. That's something they're going to do to cool down their skin as much as possible because they have incredibly sensitive skin. So something else they're going to use that trunk to do is pick up dirt and mud with their trunk and throw it on their back like their own personal version of homemade sunscreen. Now with the elephant waters, people tend to think that the elephants are going to drink water through their trunk, but they're actually going to suck it up in their trunk and spray it into their mouth like a hose. Now on the left-hand side, you're going to see some more of those greater flamingos. Those greater flamingos get their name from the fact that they are the largest flamingo species in the world. Now that color that they have is obviously pink. That color is going to come from shrimp and algae that they eat. That has something called keratin inside it, which allows their skin and their feathers to turn incredibly pink. Additionally, though, when that baby flamingo is born, they're actually going to be